Welcome back to Books on the Mic. If you're loving these deep dives and haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, now would be a great time to do it. We are in chapter 17, and today we're going to be looking at Peak by Anders Ericsson.
Oh, yeah, this one's a good word.
It is. This book totally, changed how I think about getting good at things.
Yeah, it really, makes you rethink a lot of stuff.
Totally. Like the idea that you're either just, born with talent or you're not.
Yeah, or that, some people are just destined to be mediocre.
Right. Like take perfect pitch. I always thought that was like some, super rare, almost magical ability. But this book, Peak, just throws that idea right out the window.
Yeah, it's interesting because the book actually uses Mozart as an example, know?
Right, because you think Mozart,
Yeah, he's
the epitome of natural talent.
the ultimate natural talent.
Right, but then Ericsson brings in all this research, and it's like, whoa, maybe not.
Yeah, you start to question everything you thought you knew.
Totally. Like that study from 2014 in Japan where they took a group of 24 kids.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
None of them had perfect pitch.
Yeah, they started with 0 perfect pitch.
And then after this specific training program,
Every single one of them.
all 24 of them developed perfect pitch.
It's crazy, right?
It just blows your mind when you think about it. Like instead of seeing potential as this, fixed thing you're born with,
Yeah.
what if it's more like, a vessel
Mm-hmm.
that can actually expand with the right kind of training?
I love that analogy. Yeah, it's you can actually grow your potential.
And that's where this whole idea of deliberate practice comes in, which is really the core of what Ericsson's talking
Yeah,
about.
that's the heart of it right there.
Like deliberate practice versus just, going through the motions.
Yeah, just kind of doing the thing, but not really.
Exactly. The book talks about this thing, just enough practice, where you get to a level that's acceptable,
Right.
and then you just kind of coast.
You just kind of stay there.
You're like, all right, this is good enough.
Yeah, I can get by with this.
But Ericsson is saying no, that's not how you actually reach your peak.
Right, that's just maintaining or not growing.
And he uses this example of Steve Falloon, this guy who participated in this memory experiment.
Oh, yeah, Falloon the Memory Man.
Right. And he started out with just an average digit span,
Yeah, like most people.
you know.
But he ended up memorizing something like over 80 digits.
It's insane. How is that even possible?
Right. It's how does the human brain even do that?
Well, that's the thing. It's not about magic.
Yeah.
It's about deliberate practice.
So he wasn't just passively trying to memorize numbers, he was actively,
He had a system.
yeah, pushing his limits,
Figuring out
pushing himself further,
every time.
how to remember just one more digit.
Yeah, what's my limit today? Can I add one more?
And tracking his progress, right? Super intentionally.
Yeah, he was very deliberate about it.
That's so interesting. And what's even more interesting is the book contrasts that approach
Oh, yeah.
with professionals in fields like medicine or teaching, right?
Where, you reach a certain level of competency,
Kind of learn the ropes.
and then you just kind of stop pushing yourself.
Yeah, you get comfortable.
And Ericsson's no, that's where things start to,
You plateau.
yeah, they stagnate or even decline over time.
It's wild to think about, right? You can actually get worse if you're not actively getting better.
So deliberate practice isn't just for athletes or musicians.
It's for everyone.
It's for anyone in any field who wants to
You want to improve? You got to practice deliberately.
continuously improve, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're a
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you do.
teacher who wants to better engage their students,
A chef who wants to make the perfect dish.
right? A musician who wants
An
to,
entrepreneur who wants to grow their business.
have a more nuanced performance.
Whatever it is, deliberate practice is the key.
Or even a software developer trying to master a new coding language.
That's a great example.
The principles are the same. It's about being intentional and focused
Yeah.
and pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone.
Yeah, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
And it's about building those mental representations that the book talks about.
Oh, those are so key.
Right, those internal models that your brain creates
Yeah, it's how you make sense of the world
that guide your performance.
and how you get better at what you do.
So instead of just seeing isolated bits of information, experts are able to
They see the bigger picture.
chunk that information into meaningful patterns.
Yeah, connect the dots
Right.
and see the patterns that others miss.
The book uses this example of chess masters who can
Oh,
just
yeah.
quickly memorize those complex board positions
Like, it's nothing.
because they're not seeing
They're not seeing individual pieces.
individual pieces. They're seeing these
They're seeing formations and strategies.
strategic formations.
Yeah, they're thinking several moves ahead.
And beginners haven't developed those
They don't have the mental map yet.
sophisticated mental representations yet.
They're still learning the basics.
Yeah, it's like they're seeing the game on a totally different level.
Completely different.
But here's a question I've always wondered about.
Okay.
How do you get, like, effective feedback when you're practicing a skill alone?
Oh, that's a good question.
Right, like when there's no one there to tell you, like, yeah, you're doing good, or no, you need to adjust this.
Yeah. It's a tricky one. And it actually ties into this other challenge,
Right?
which is how do you even identify true experts
Yeah.
in fields where there aren't like clear-cut competitions?
Right, like where there's not a clear winner or loser.
Yeah, like business or medicine.
You can't just be like, oh, you got the gold medal, you're the expert.
Exactly. It's more nuanced than that.
So how do you know who to even get feedback from?
Well, that's where it gets tricky. You can't always rely on subjective judgments.
Right, because we all have our biases.
We all have our preferences and assumptions.
Like we might assume someone with tons of experience
Yeah, oh yeah, they must be great.
is automatically an expert,
Just because they've been doing it a long time.
even if their actual performance isn't that great.
Right. Experience doesn't always equal expertise.
Or we might be swayed by
You
it.
can be fooled by appearances
Yeah, there's a reputation
or
or
a fancy title.
how confident they sound.
Yeah, sometimes the most confident people are the least competent.
Right. So it's not always easy to tell.
It's a real challenge.
So what's the solution?
That's where objective measures become really important.
Okay.
Or feedback from multiple experts.
So you're not just relying on one person's opinion
Yeah, you want to get a more well-rounded perspective.
to counter those individual biases.
Exactly, like triangulate the information.
But even then,
Yeah.
it's important to remember that
Expertise is specific.
expertise is specific.
Yeah.
Like someone might be
They might be brilliant in one area,
brilliant in one area.
but totally mediocre in another.
Totally. Like a world-renowned chef
Right, world famous for their cooking.
might not be the best person to ask for advice on
Yeah, don't ask them for financial advice.
managing your finances.
Unless they also happen to be a financial whiz.
Right. Even though both of those things
Yeah, they both require skill.
require a high level of skill and decision-making.
But they're different skills.
Wholly different skills.
You need different mental representations for each one.
So it's about finding those people who are truly experts
Yeah, the real deal.
in the specific skill that you're trying to develop.
Exactly. Find the specialists.
Okay, so we've got this idea of deliberate practice.
Yeah.
The importance of building those mental representations.
To concept.
And this whole, like, tricky business of getting accurate feedback.
It's true.
But how do we actually apply all of this in our everyday lives? Like, that's what I'm really curious about.
Yeah, the rubber meets the road, right? How do we take this and make it actionable?
Exactly. Like, how do we make this practical?
Well, the book highlights the work of Art Turok,
Okay.
who talks about this idea of learning while real work gets done.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, it's a great concept.
So, like, finding those opportunities for deliberate practice.
Yeah, you don't have to like quit your job and go live in a monastery.
Right. Like, within our existing routine.
You can find ways to practice in your daily life.
Instead of thinking we need to, like, lock ourselves away for hours on end.
Yeah, you can integrate it into what you're already doing.
I like that. It makes it seem so much more,
It's more sustainable that way.
yeah, achievable.
More realistic.
And he gives this example of
Blue Bunny,
Blue Bunny,
the ice cream company.
which implemented role-playing practice
Oh, yeah, I remember this example.
during their regular sales strategy meetings.
Yeah, they got creative with it.
So instead of just, like, talking about how to handle challenging sales calls,
Right, they didn't just talk about it.
they're actually
They
practicing
put it into
in
action
those scenarios in a
in a real setting
realistic setting
with real stakes.
with feedback from their peers and senior managers.
Yeah, they got feedback in real time.
So smart. It's like
It's brilliant.
they're getting that deliberate practice
Yeah, they're learning by doing
while also
and getting better at their jobs.
getting real work done.
Exactly. It's a win-win.
It's such a great example of how deliberate practice can be
It's so practical.
integrated into the workflow.
It's not this separate thing. It's part of the process.
But let's be honest,
Okay.
maintaining motivation over the long haul,
Yeah, that's the hard part.
that's tough.
It's easy to get excited at first.
Right. Like you get inspired, you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this.
Hey, gonna crush it.
But then life gets in the way.
Yeah, distractions come up.
Other priorities,
You get busy.
It's hard to stay committed
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
to this process.
Sure.
So how do we stay motivated? How do we keep going?
Well, the book looks at this study of spelling bee contestants,
Oh, interesting.
and what they found was fascinating.
Okay.
It wasn't just about raw talent or IQ.
It wasn't
Nope. It was about their practice habits.
really. So the contestants who
The ones who practiced deliberately,
practiced deliberately.
even if they weren't considered natural spellers.
Really? So even if they weren't like
Even if they didn't seem like prodigies.
the ones that everyone was like, oh, they're just a natural,
Yeah.
they ended up outperforming those who relied on
The ones who coasted on their natural talent.
what they perceived as their innate talent.
Exactly. They got complacent.
So it's about putting in the work,
Yeah, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
the right kind of work,
Deliberate practice.
consistently over time.
That's the key.
And the study found that,
Motivation comes from a few things.
okay,
Setting clear goals.
okay.
Finding meaning in what you're pursuing.
So like, why are you doing this? What's the purpose?
Exactly. What's driving you?
And actually developing a passion for
This is important.
the process of improvement itself.
It's about falling in love with the journey,
Ooh, I like
not
that.
just the destination.
So it's not just about the end goal. It's
Mhm.
about enjoying
It's about the daily grind, the small wins,
the process of getting there.
the constant learning and growth.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's a mindset shift.
But I have to admit,
Yeah.
I'm still a bit intimidated by this whole 10,000-hour rule myth.
Oh, yeah, that one's been misinterpreted.
It makes deliberate practice sound like
Yeah, like this massive, overwhelming thing.
this massive, time-consuming undertaking.
Like you have to quit your life and just practice.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't have 10,000 hours to dedicate to any one thing.
Well, the good news is the 10,000-hour rule has been blown way out of proportion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not about just like clocking in hours.
So you're saying like 10,000 hours of just like mindlessly repeating the same thing
Yeah, like just going through the motions.
won't magically turn you into an expert?
No, not at all. It's about the quality of those hours.
So it's not just about quantity, it's about
It's about how you use that time.
intentionality.
Yeah, you got to be deliberate about it.
And didn't that whole 10,000 hours come from a very specific study?
Yeah, it was about violinists.
Like elite violinists.
Yeah, the top performers in the world.
So it wasn't even like
It wasn't about average violinists.
just people who were good at violin. It was
It was the cream of the crop.
like the best of the best.
The virtuosos.
And even then it was just an average, right? Like based on that one study.
Exactly. So the amount of time it actually takes to reach expertise,
Yeah.
it can be totally different depending on the skill
And the person.
and the person. Yeah, everyone's different.
Okay, so there's no magic number.
No, no shortcuts.
It's more about
It's about the journey
consistent, effort-focused training.
and pushing yourself over time.
Okay. And don't be discouraged if you hit plateaus.
Oh, yeah, everyone hits plateaus.
I feel like I hit plateaus all the time.
It's part of the process.
Really?
Yeah, it's normal.
So it's not a sign that I'm like
Not a sign that you're failing.
doing something wrong.
It's a sign that you're pushing yourself.
Oh, okay.
You're reaching the limits of your current abilities.
So how do you get past a plateau?
That's where you got to get creative.
Oh.
You got to change things up.
Like try a different approach?
Yeah, maybe get feedback from someone.
Or break the skill down into smaller chunks?
Exactly. You got to figure out what's holding you back.
That's reassuring to hear.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing.
Because I was starting to think like maybe this whole deliberate practice thing
Yeah.
wasn't for me.
No, it's for everyone.
But I'm starting to see how it's not just about reaching a certain skill level.
Yeah, it's deeper than that.
It's about like fostering
It's a mindset.
a love of learning and a desire to
It's about continuous improvement.
constantly improve.
Yeah, always striving to be better.
I love that. This whole deep dive is really making me rethink
It's powerful stuff.
my own approach to learning.
Yeah, can be transformative.
But I am curious about something.
Okay, what's that?
How does this apply to something like memory?
Oh, that's a good one.
We talked about Steve Falloon earlier.
Yeah, the memory champ.
Well, but is it really possible for anyone to develop
You mean like extraordinary memory skills?
like extraordinary memory
Now,
skills?
let's think about those memory athletes.
You mean the ones who can like memorize decks of cards and
Yeah, the ones who compete in the World Memory Championship.
like long lists of numbers and
Yeah, they do all sorts of crazy stuff.
all sorts of seemingly impossible things?
They're amazing to watch.
Yeah, they're mind-blowing.
And the thing is,
Yeah.
they're not born with superhuman brains.
So they don't have like
No.
photographic memories.
It's not magic.
Okay.
They've trained themselves
Wait.
techniques that are based on deliberate practice.
So they're actually developing a skill,
Yeah, they're practicing and pushing their limits.
not just relying on some perceived
Yeah, they're not just gifted.
innate talent.
They're putting in the work.
That's so cool. And what kind of techniques do they use?
They use things like mnemonics and visualization
Oh,
to
cool.
encode information in a way that makes it easier to remember.
So they're like creating
Yeah.
these
Mental hooks and associations.
little mental shortcuts.
Exactly.
That's fascinating. And they're constantly pushing their limits,
Oh, yeah, just like Steve Falloon.
aiming to remember just one more digit
One more name.
than before.
Always pushing further.
So it's about developing a skill,
Yeah, honing that mental muscle.
not just relying on
Yeah, you got to train your brain.
some perceived talent.
It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
That's incredibly empowering. Like anyone could do that
Yeah, anyone can improve their memory.
if they're willing to put in the work.
It's about the effort.
And what's even more exciting is these techniques
Yeah, they're not just for memory athletes.
can be learned and applied to everyday life.
Absolutely, you can use them to remember names.
Yeah, like I'm terrible with names.
Or important dates.
Or facts for a text.
Or even those grocery lists we always forget.
Oh my gosh, yes. The grocery list thing is a real struggle.
I feel you.
So I don't have to aspire to be like
You don't have to be on stage memorizing decks of cards
a memory champion.
to benefit from these techniques.
That's great to know. Well, I'm already thinking about how I could use these
Yeah, put them into practice.
techniques to remember things better
It's a game changer.
in my daily life.
And the more you practice them, the better you'll get.
So it's just like any other skill.
Exactly. It takes time and effort.
This is eye-opening.
It's a whole new world.
I'm feeling inspired to explore these memory techniques
Yeah, go for it.
and see how far I can push my own limits.
That's the spirit.
Remember, deliberate practice is about embracing
It's a journey.
the journey of improvement.
It's not about being perfect
It's about constantly striving to be better
than you were yesterday.
than you were yesterday.
That's all that matters.
And that's a journey we can all take no matter what our starting point.
Exactly. Everyone has the potential to grow.
Speaking of journeys,
Okay.
let's shift gears for a moment
All right. Where are we going now?
and talk about how this concept of deliberate practice
Okay.
applies to a field with incredibly high stakes.
Like what?
Surgery.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's high pressure.
Because in surgery, expertise is literally a matter of
Life and death.
life and death.
Yeah, the stakes don't get much higher than that.
And it makes you wonder,
Yeah.
how do surgeons even practice
Right. You can't.
when the consequences of a mistake are so significant?
Yeah, you can't just wing it.
You can't exactly have a do-over during an operation.
Nope. One shot.
So how do they develop the skills
Yeah. How do they get so good?
needed to perform those complex procedures?
Well, this is where the idea of mental representations
yeah.
becomes even more crucial.
You're like,
They spend hours visualizing procedures,
yeah,
studying anatomy.
like in their minds.
Yeah, mentally rehearsing every step.
So they're building those detailed internal models
Yeah, they're creating a mental map of the surgery.
in their minds long before they ever
Pick up a scalpel.
step into the operating room.
They've already done it 1,000 times in their head
And then they use those mental representations to
guide their actions,
Yeah.
to anticipate potential challenges
and to make those split-second decisions
when things go wrong,
when things don't go according to plan.
because they've already seen it all
Because they've run through all the scenarios in their mind.
in their mental simulations.
And the book mentions this study
Oh, yeah, I remember this one.
that observed laparoscopic surgeons
Yeah, they were doing complex operations.
during these complex operations.
And what they found was
Yeah.
very few of the surgeries actually went exactly as planned.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there were always unexpected things that came up.
So even with all the planning and preparation,
You can't account for everything.
there are always going to be
Curveballs.
twists and turns.
Yeah, you got to be ready to adapt.
So deliberate practice isn't about simply perfecting a routine.
Nope.
It's about developing the mental agility and flexibility
Yeah,
to adapt and improvise
to think on your feet.
when faced with
The unexpected.
unexpected challenges.
Because that's what life throws at you.
So it's not about becoming a robot.
No, you got to be human.
It's about honing those critical thinking skills
Yeah, being able to problem solve.
and being able to handle whatever comes your way.
Exactly. You got to roll with the punches.
And that's why deliberate practice is so valuable
It's essential.
in fields like
Yeah, where the stakes are high.
medicine business,
Mm.
even the military.
Oh, yeah, they're military for sure.
You need to be able to think on your feet,
In those high-pressure situations.
make sound judgments under pressure.
And make the right call.
Speaking of the military,
Okay.
The book talks about how the U.S. Army
Oh, yeah, they're big on deliberate practice.
developed this program
Yeah, to train their officers.
specifically designed to teach
Adaptive thinking.
adaptive thinking to their officers,
Yeah, they call it think like a commander.
using deliberate practice techniques.
Yeah, they're using simulations.
So they're not just memorizing
Whoa, not just rote memorization.
battle plans.
They're learning how to think critically.
They're developing the mental flexibility
Yeah, to adapt
to adapt and respond effectively
to unexpected situations.
to unforeseen
Yeah,
circumstances.
the battlefield is unpredictable.
So they have to be able
They
to
got to be able to think on their feet,
adjust their plans on the fly.
make quick decisions.
And those skills
They're not just for the military.
are valuable in any field,
Yeah, in any field
where the unexpected is the norm.
where things are constantly changing.
Okay, so we've explored how this idea of deliberate practice
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
applies to a wide range of skills,
From memory to music to surgery
from memory and music
to the military.
to surgery and military strategy.
Yeah, it's pretty versatile.
But let's bring it back to you,
Yeah,
the listener.
you're listening out there.
What does all this mean
Yeah, what's the takeaway?
for your own journey of skill mastery?
How can you use this?
I don't know. It's like we've been given this incredible toolkit, but sometimes knowing where to start with a new toolkit can feel overwhelming.
Yeah, I hear that. It's like, okay, I've got all these amazing tools, but which one do I use first?
Exactly. It can be a bit paralyzing.
It's true. But don't let that stop you. The core message here is so powerful.
Okay, remind me.
You have way more potential than you might realize. You're not limited by your genes or some predetermined amount of talent.
Okay, that is encouraging.
With deliberate practice, you can achieve levels of skill you might have once thought were impossible for you.
Okay, I'm feeling inspired again, but where do I begin? Give me a starting point.
Okay, so first things first, identify that one skill you really want to master. What's that one thing you're truly passionate about?
Okay, got it. Find my passion.
Yeah, and get super clear on your goals. What does mastery look like for you in this area? Paint a vivid picture in your mind.
So I can see the destination.
Exactly. And then think about who can help you get there. Maybe there's a great teacher or coach out there who can guide you and give you feedback.
Yeah, find a mentor, someone who's already walked the path.
Exactly. And don't try to tackle everything at once. Break down the skill into smaller, more manageable steps.
Or bite-sized chunks.
Yeah, make it feel less daunting. And most importantly, embrace the process of deliberate practice. Remember, it's a journey, not a race.
Okay, so it all comes back to those core elements we talked about.
The fundamentals.
Consistent effort,
Yeah, got to put in the work.
focused training,
Be intentional with your practice.
and a willingness to push beyond those comfort zones.
Yeah, get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
That's where the growth happens, right?
Exactly. That's where the magic is.
This has been an incredible deep dive.
It's flown by.
I feel like we've covered so much ground.
We've barely scratched the surface.
From the myth of the 10,000-hour rule to the power of mental representations to practical tips for implementing deliberate practice in our everyday lives.
And the best part is you can keep exploring this on your own.
There's always more to learn.
The journey never ends.
So as we wrap up, what's the one key takeaway for our listeners? What's that thought-provoking nugget we can leave them with?
I think this deliberate practice isn't just about achieving expertise in a particular skill. It's about something bigger.
Okay, I like where this is going.
It's about cultivating a growth mindset and a deeper engagement with life itself.
It's about always striving to be better,
Yeah. Always learning, always growing.
to become the best versions of ourselves.
Exactly. And that's a journey that's worth taking no matter what.
No matter what your goals or aspirations may be.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Peak by Anders Ericsson. We hope you found it as insightful and inspiring as we did. Remember to subscribe to Books on the Mic for more explorations into the world of fascinating ideas. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep pushing your limits.